Thanks so much, Chad. Love is a complex dance even in the animal kingdom. During the ABQ BioPark's The Birds and the Beast tours, they're exploring all curious romantic rituals animals do have. Here with more on these adults-only tours is Catherine Benzor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
Catherine, we're going to try to G-rate this.
Okay.
So let's talk about these tours. Why did you guys decide, you need to bring something like this about?
Well, it actually came from our education volunteers. They said, when we give tours, people have all of these questions that we can't necessarily get into the details about. We can't necessarily answer because we've got little kiddos around.
Right.
Parents or teachers aren't necessarily entirely comfortable talking about mating rituals and behaviors, but it's an important topic. So we decided, well, let's make it 18 and over. Let's do it in the late afternoon when there aren't families around. And the Birds and the Beast tour came about.
You could pretty much ask any question you want.
You can ask any question you want, yes.
So anything that can come to mind. You're like, I need to know this information.
Right.
What are some of the animals that are part of this tour?
Some of the more obvious animals that you would think about, the ones that you might catch mating at the zoo, like the lions, all of the apes. But then there's also some animals that you wouldn't necessarily think about.
Okay.
The smaller animals, the frogs and the reptiles, armadillos, the tortoises. So we go over the entire zoo.
Now this is not just, black and white.
Right.
There's some gray in this area. You said some animals, they have a little bit of a challenge, so you'll be able to answer some questions on that.
Right. If you think about the Aldabra tortoises that we have, the male is twice the size of the female. And if you look closely at the female shell, you can see impressions in her shell. That's a heavy male.
Interesting.
They also have to kind of coordinate around shells, so shelled animals are really interesting.
Yeah, so why these animals? Why did you decide to feature these animals?
It's actually what we do at the biopark. We are really trying to monitor the population that we have in captivity.
Okay.
We are all about species survival, and during Earth Month, that's really what we want to push. We want to inform the visitors, yes, mating rituals are very interesting, but we do it for a purpose, right? We want to continue the species. We actually work with other facilities around the country, around the world, to bring in animals or to ship out animals so that we can ensure a healthy population.
And you're going to be able to touch on that as well. You know, what other zoos do you guys have connections with? Are we talking about zoos, all the way north as maybe Maine?
Pretty far north, yeah. I mean, and it's interesting when you think about trying to ship a rhino or, specimens from elephants. How do you keep things refrigerated? And so it gets pretty interesting.
Pretty interesting to see how this all works, and then to know what the lengths you guys go to to make sure that the survival, as you said, of these species continues.
Exactly.
So do you see the biopark doing any other tours like this, looking at maybe different animals though?
Well, we do. During Valentine's Day, we do the That's Amore tour with the fish.
Okay.
So it's all about fish. You don't necessarily think about mating rituals, but there are some really interesting things out there in the fish world. And then we do a bug love tour. So we talk about the mating rituals in the insect and arthropod world. And with our new bugarium opening up this fall, that's definitely going to be a big hit.
And I think it's really, as you mentioned, a really interesting topic. Especially, you may go to the zoo with your kids, and there are moments where you're just like, ugh, keep walking. And this is your chance to really speak out and say, hey, what is that about? I don't understand. How does this happen?
Right, and it's a comfortable environment. You're with adults. You're in small groups, usually only about 10 adults per tour guide.
Okay.
And so it's in the evening. It's not as loud. You can really ask the questions. It's really fun when you have an 80-year-old smaller woman talking to you about the mating rituals of some of the animals.
That's true.
They get so into it. They bring props. I can't really talk about what props they bring, but they do. And
interesting.
It's fun.
Make the tour a little more interesting for everyone else, right?
Exactly.
Now, I don't know if this will be a first date type of thing. Maybe something where you're with somebody for a while. Can you tell me when and where?
Sure. It's going to be on Saturday, the 18th of April, and it's from 3 to 5. So it's a 2-hour-long tour. And if you're a member, it's only $6. So you can find the tickets on the website.
You mentioned you have your own tour guide. How many tours? Should you get there early to make sure that you're insured a tour?
I would get your ticket now. They usually sell out because we only have so many tour guides. So that's how many tickets we sell. Usually about 100 tickets.
Okay.
So yeah, I would definitely get your tickets now.
Are you guys planning on doing it again if it's a hit?
If it's a hit, we typically typically only do it once a year, but we'll see. It would be nice to offer it more than once.
It would be.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Website where somebody could get more information.
abqbiopark.com.
All right, thanks so much for joining us this morning,
Thank
Catherine.
you.
You bet. Again, you can get all the information on the BioPark page or go to our website, krqe.com. We'll be right back.